This poor bastard has been maligned and humiliated. This poor bastard has been maligned and humiliated.
Me? You think this is funny? In a cosmic sort of way, yes. Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks? What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
The enemies also take so long to defeat. He's fucking Batman. He should be able to finish off enemies with
2 or 3 hits.
the people who do this. From the 80s all the way through to the noughties, there was one rule written by the gods themselves, and that was that Batman games had to be terrible. Now, while there was never a brilliant Batman game, the movies started off amazing. In fact, Batman and Batman Returns were so popular that Warner Brothers, in their infinite fucking wisdom, ended up seeing nothing but the commercial potential of Batman toys. So they got rid of the good director and instead hired Joel Schumacher. You know, the guy who had such a brilliant understanding of Batman that he said this:
"They're called comic books, not drama books."
And so finally, as if by fate, by the end of the 90s, both Batman's movies and his games were on the same level of quality as what you might find in a nightclub toilet at 3:30 in the morning. We almost killed him. And then... Batman finally had the movie treatment that fans of the comic books and graphic novels had only ever dreamed of. Unlike every other comic book movie before, it was a more grounded and dangerous take on the superhero genre. A move so bold that it consequentially changed the shape of superhero movies forever. Suddenly, every superhero movie had to be darker and grittier, to the point where it didn't even suit the fucking source material. Anyone remember the lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man? No? Well, I don't blame you because it's fucking dumb! Anyway, a real Batman movie was coming, so naturally, because we're in 2005 and it's a major Hollywood release, we're going to get a video game version, because everything had a fucking video game back then. Just look at this shite! Robot Wars had its own game. Dark Angel, nobody even watched that show and it got its own game.
Dark Angel, no one even watched that show. Yeah, people did. It had decent critical reception and has a cult fan base. So watch your mouth, buddy. That show was actually pretty damn good.
Crazy Frog? The Crazy Frog got its own game? As far as first impressions go, honestly, this game had every right to be fantastic.
The game had every right to be fantastic. Dude, it fucking was fantastic. What is the deal? Go ahead, break down what's wrong with its gameplay design. Let's start with that, since your word is apparently gospel.
Seriously, it's one of the best looking PS2 games I've ever played.
Ever made, oh yeah, and one of the best superhero games ever made, right along with it. The game even came with a ticket to see the movie. This game was really something else. So again, I ask, what's the problem? Go ahead, Tennings, elaborate.
Though perhaps I'm just saying that because I'm so used to seeing this. It also features the likeness and voices of all of the movie's main cast, and has one of the best superhero movies ever made as a blueprint for their story. How did they fuck this up? How did they fuck this up?
Fuck this up.
How the fuck did they fuck anything up? How about this? Get to the point.
It should be amazing! Well, because EA is EA and always has been fucking A, they ironically forgot that they had to put a video game inside their fucking video game.
Dude, it has a robust combat system with multiple animations and mechanics. It has so many different attack moves, and to top it all off, it has an innovative fear system that changes how enemies respond to you based on your actions. That's some deep, innovative shit right there. And again, you haven't elaborated on what's wrong with the actual gameplay. You just made opinions and objective claims.
Can you shut the fuck up?
For one, the fighting system, it's just awful.
The fighting system is just awful? How?
every encounter in the entire game.
It's the exact same thing.
Run into a group of enemies, focus in on one, keep pressing square until the game tells you to press circle, and rinse, dry, repeat. You don't need to time it correctly, there's no combos to learn, no strategies to win.
That's it? This is your deep analysis? Every encounter is the same? That's like saying, oh, that's just boring, and not elaborating why. Each encounter is different because of the fear system. Sometimes they're afraid, sometimes they'll be emboldened. This changes the AI, so you are factually incorrect.
Run into a group of enemies, focus in on one.
Keep pressing square until the game tells you to press circle.
Holy shit, what the fuck are you talking about? That's video games in general, genius. You have to press not only square but triangle and other buttons. You do know what a gamepad is, right? These are a part of the controls themselves. Now you're just nitpicking shit that has nothing to do with the overall combat experience. Just the overall gamepad experience. You're a blunderhead, you know that?
And rinse, dry, repeat.
So it's not repetitive because they guard and use different techniques on Batman. If you played challenge mode, you'd know that. I actually played, unlike some people. I've beaten it over 50 times, and yeah, it's incredible. And yeah, they actually think and guard against your attacks. The AI is smart and they don't fuck around.
You don't need to time it correctly, there's no combos to learn. You don't need to time it correctly.
You don't need to time it correctly.
Can I help you?
You don't need to time it correctly. You do need to time it correctly. That's also factually incorrect. You have to time your combos and techniques carefully to maintain balance in the fight, or else the enemy will put out a knife or weapon and guard against your moves, thus giving them an opening and beating you. Batman is more realistic in this game than he is in that of Arkham. He's not a super powerhouse. He's a man, a mortal. He's real. He's a more realistic interpretation of the character, so the gameplay design reflects this.
No strategies to win, just keep pressing square. There's also a block button that you can hold and be invincible. Oh, and also if there's two enemies near each other, you can press circle, and Batman does this weird spinny kick. Yeah, that's the combat. Oh, you can also throw a flashbang into their face if you're bored. I mean, yeah.
That's the combat.
No, you have multiple tools and options. You can also interact with the environment to make people scared. Also, you have multiple combos and techniques to choose from. Use them wisely, as enemies can hurt Batman a lot more because Batman here is more realistic. So there's way more than just that, and that's it. This was all you could muster? Really?
Are you dumb?
You can also throw a flashbang into their face if you're bored. I mean, you don't need to, but it's something, I guess. The enemies also take so long to defeat. He's fucking Batman! He should be able to finish off enemies with 2 or 3 hits, but these fuckers just keep getting up, which only makes the whole process longer.
The enemies take so long to defeat. You idiot, that's the point. It's a more realistic interpretation of the character, so the enemies reflect this too. The entire game design reflects this, so it's harder and takes more time defeating a real person than it would a less realistic person. You're complaining about the game's realism while trying to make fun of it. The irony is unreal.
Oh my God. This is why you're stupid.
He's fucking Batman.
He should be able to finish off enemies with 2 or 3 hits.
You keep this up, I'ma have to meme you. Look, you dumbass. How can you complain about the game and then say, oh, it's a problem. This game requires too much. Oh no, I can't beat an enemy in 2 hits. That's not the game's fault, you idiot. It's trying to make the game more challenging. That's the point. You're trashing a game for being more challenging? Are you fucking kidding me right now? You want enemies to get screwed over in less time, in less hits. You want enemies to get screwed over in less than 2 or 3 hits, in less than 1 to 2 hits. You complain because the game isn't easy. You want the game to be more easy and you're gonna trash the game like it's the game's fault for your little preference? Are you kidding me? Number 1, get over yourself. Number 2, the game is challenging. That means it's doing a good job challenging the player. If even you're complaining about how long it takes to defeat enemies, that is not a flaw. That is gameplay design. Number 3, you complained about the game sucking and you apparently had a hard time defeating people to the point in which you wanted the game to have Batman instantly defeat people, which means the real problem is that you're having a rough time with the game. Okay, but that's not a flaw with the game. That's you.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Fuckers just keep getting up, which only makes the whole process longer.
These fuckers keep getting up, which makes the process longer. That's the point, genius. They are hard. You're complaining about the difficulty of enemies? Do you even hear yourself? Holy shit, you're retarded.
It's such a fucking lazy mechanic for what is essentially the core of the game.
Lazy my ass. Don't even go there when the game is actually challenging you and you can't take it. Don't get on the game for the fact that you couldn't handle the challenge of it. Because if you're complaining about the fact that a game requires too much to defeat an enemy, that sounds like the game is hard, and you're complaining about the fact that it's hard. And that's the point. This is what makes the game so damn special for its time.
Fucking lazy mechanic for what is essentially the core of the game. Batman fights enemies. You will spend the majority of your entire time in the game fighting enemies.
And they made it so fucking dull.
You are made of stupid.
You're the one who complained about the fact that, oh, you want to be able to beat enemies quicker in less than 2 hits or 2 to 3 hits. Get the fuck out of here. You can't trash a game because you want to be practically overpowered. Instead, you're angry because you're not beating people in less than 2 to 3 hits. That makes no sense. That's not right towards the game. You're not giving it a fair shake. And if you're angry about the fact that you can't beat them in less than 2 or 3 hits, then your whole claim is set to question because you didn't bring up a game design flaw or issues. You just brought up a frustration of what you have to do just to defeat enemies. So that sounds like a you problem, not a game problem.
Because they actually take a while to kill, you know?
Shut up, you dick.
You douche.
Can you shut the fuck up?
That was uncalled for. Besides, that's my job.
Honestly, this combat system is the biggest fucking chore since manual lawnmowers were invented. And Auschwitz. Can't forget that.
In terms of the actual combat and the fighting moves and the finishing moves that Batman uses in the game, they're very similar to what we use in the film.
Yeah, that makes sense. Batman barely gets into any fistfights in the movie, and when he does, you can't see a fucking thing anyway because the editing is so quick. So yeah, good job on basing your entire fighting system on a style that nobody would recognize.
The combat techniques are similar to what you see in the film Dick, especially throughout the trilogy. Throughout the trilogy, you see more of the martial arts. What do you think Batman is using? He even fights Ra's al Ghul in the movie, and it shows more of the choreography. There's other scenes like the opening scene that shows more of the choreography. You showed like one scene, motherfucker. That's not fair. One scene isn't an accurate viewpoint of the entirety of the fighting in the damn film.
Fighting system on a style that nobody would recognize. Asshole. So, the combat is bad, but honestly, I can overlook it. You know, one of my biggest complaints when I'm doing reviews is that I never really have a story to dissect. And when I do, it's pretty much this. But this time, I have fucking Batman Begins. Can you imagine what you could take from this movie and build upon in a video game? You could introduce new story arcs for Bruce Wayne, introduce villains that weren't in the movie.
Introducing story arcs for Bruce Wayne? Hey, dumbass, the game actually does this, genius.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Yeah, dumbass, the game has different stories you would only see in the game that you wouldn't see in the movie. This is all over the game. If you actually played it and spent less time complaining, bitching, and moaning about developers telling them to fuck off, you would know that. If you spent less time moaning about the combat taking too long to fight, you would know that.
You're playing as Batman, and you can't even fire down a batarang at an enemy. Why?
You had to do something that players wanted to pick up the joystick and the controller over and over again.
Fuck you.
Hey, dickface, that was uncalled for, Jesus. The size of that ego of yours. You're a little douchebag, ain't you? Now, why are you going and saying this to these hard-working actors and devs? The fuck is wrong with you? You lose credibility when you act like that, for no damn reason.
That weren't in the movie. Challenges that Batman has to overcome in what is effectively his first few months ever as the Batman. The creative well that this game had the opportunity to draw from was limitless. But what did they do? Fucking nothing!
I've been away from video games for a decade.
I mean, Batman Begins is a phenomenal movie, but just from watching it, it's just fucking obvious that there isn't enough there to create a 6 to 8 hour long video game. But it's just as if EA said, fuck it, don't add anything, let's just take this 2 hour long story and stretch it into a 6 hour game. It's fucking baffling. There isn't a single extra story or villain added to the game. Instead, they just drag out every major plot beat from the movie into a level. And when they can't do that, they literally insert a level that doesn't even make sense in the first place. The first level of playing as Batman starts with a 7 days ago introduction, and then it just cuts to Batman standing in a room. Like, why the fuck am I here? Eventually, I learn I'm here to take down Falcone, which in the movie actually happens to be Batman's first action scene. So, okay, that's a good setup for a level. Maybe this will actually be 80 fucking minutes later, and I'm only reaching Falcone now. Fuck everything about this time-wasting septic tank of a level. Room after room after room of enemies, all to get to Falcone, who just ends up being outside anyway. He's literally in his car. All Batman would have had to do was start on the other side of the level and it'd be done. Not even. He could have just walked along the roof. He's Batman. Why the fuck is he navigating through a building? It doesn't make any sense. He could just glide. He has a cape. But here, he uses elevators. Batman has to wait on fucking elevators. This is the entire game too. Almost every level that involves getting to the roof or getting to the other side of the level involves Batman taking the longest possible route just so that the game can be longer.
What's the magic word?
Little pig, let me in.
You got it.
I mean, the sheer amount of times Batman is waiting on an elevator in this game just makes me want to scream. How can they get Batman this wrong?
Wow, this is what you had to say about the gameplay and level design. What about how open the level design is? How can you freely travel the level for the most part, and how free it is, and how many different components and areas and vents they have in just one level? This shit is fleshed out and pretty damn open. I'm shocked you missed that level of detail. God, you complain about such pointless shit.
He's Batman.
Why the fuck is he navigating
through a building?
He's fucking Batman, dumbass. What is your IQ, that of a fucking gerbil? Yeah, dumbass, he's gonna navigate through cities, buildings, vents, areas, because he is the shadows. He is the night. He is Batman. That's what Batman kinda does. So you're kinda...
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
retarded.
Doesn't make any sense. He could just glide. He has a cape. But here, he uses elevators. Batman
has to wait.
Okay, you just complained that he's going through a building as if it's some other superhero, and now you're complaining a superhero without powers is going through an elevator? You make no sense, fucking moron. Not to mention that rude jab at the devs and actors telling them to fuck off. Eat this, douche.
Even when we're breaking into Arkham Asylum to confront the Scarecrow, just guess. Guess how Batman, the Predator of the Sky, how he infiltrates Arkham. Go on, I actually want you to guess. Under a truck. Why? 'Cause fuck you. And he also climbs ladders like a prick.
You're complaining that Batman is so sly and slick he can hide under a truck without being seen. That's creative as fuck. How could you complain about that? You complained about him going through a building? Alright, motherfucker, now he's going through underneath a truck and you still find a way to bitch. Hey, genius, you do realize because the levels are open-ended, there's more than one way to complete each. Yeah, dumbass, that's why it pays to actually assess the game instead of telling actors and devs to fuck off every 5 seconds.
It's always the same.
You're playing as Batman and you can't even fire down a batarang at an enemy. Why?
The batarang in the Nolan trilogy is a powerful shuriken with sharp edges. If Batman were to fire his batarang at an enemy, he would surely die. Need another lesson, dumbass, or is that enough for you?
You had to do something that players wanted to pick up the joystick and the controller over and over again.
Fuck you.
You rude, entitled, disrespectful, self-absorbed fucking asshole. You sniveling cocksucker. Who the fuck do you think you are? You don't talk that way towards developers who worked hard on innovative gameplay design like that. What the fuck did he do to deserve this kind of disrespect, you self-absorbed asshole? Calm your fucking ass down and assess the damn game already.
The only saving grace is that there's 2 of these Batmobile sections in the game, where you get to tear around in the Batmobile. They're literally a bad rip-off of Burnout 3, but quite honestly, these sections are without a doubt the only bit of fun you'll have while playing the game. Because for once, you feel that you're not under the confines of the game anymore. You can just smash into everything. Even civilians. Batman fucking creams them out of it. I honestly thought that EA forgot that Batman doesn't kill people, but then you look up into the top right of the screen and, oh look, 0 casualties. How fucking convenient. Speaking of killing people, I am convinced after playing through Batman Begins that Batman doesn't have a moral code. Instead, he's just the worst serial killer in the history of video games.
What? The trucks and civilians and the bad guys? Wow, congratulations, motherfucker. You mentioned like a nitpick of game design. Wow, look out, your skills on game reviewing is overwhelming. Worst serial killer in the history of video games. Oh, really? He doesn't kill canon-wise throughout the game. He just goes to more extremes, which the Batman from The Dark Knight Returns also went through extremes. So what do you say to that? Even the comic was extreme as fuck. So the comic can be extreme with Batman, but when Batman does it suddenly, it's a big deal? Talk about double standards.
Honestly, Batman violently killed more people in this game that even the Joker would be like, alright Batman, steady on buddy, yeah?
What needs to be done?
Yeah, you fucking idiot. And even after all that, through your montage of the damn fear system, they're all still alive. So what the fuck is your point? Imagine if Batman was more clean and didn't go to extremes. He wouldn't be as feared. That's why they fear him, genius. And guess what? Again, they're all still alive, dumbass. So what's your point?
But wait a minute. They're not dead. No, of course they're not. Because they either inexplicably get back up again, or else we just never see them again. And Batman just quips that they're probably alright.
No shit, Sherlock. Yeah, they're not dead. That's my point. What you said was wrong.
That sounded like the rather final exit for Dr. Crane. Don't count on it until they've dragged the river. Madness can make men survive the impossible.
Even this section features a doctor who's been locked inside this containment room, and Batman watches her get infected with fear toxin and then literally walks away. And we just continue on with the level. Like, what the fuck? He's just leaving her there to die. Although I don't blame him. The voiceover actress for that doctor was just fucking awful.
Please! I swear I don't know anything! No! No, please! I don't know anything, I swear! Please, I just want to go home! No, stay back! What are you? I can't stay here. You're joking? I'm asking the vampire in tights if he's joking!
Yeah, I'd probably let her die too. This game was so hard for me to review because there's literally too much for me to complain about.
I was nearly killed by some maniac in black pajamas.
Like, I haven't even mentioned that Batman can fucking double jump. Yeah, let's take the most realistic interpretation of Batman to date and let him break the rules of physics right off of the bat.
You're complaining about a double jump feature? Are you fucking serious right now? So many games have this, whether they be 3D platformers or realistic games. A game is not going to abide by all levels of realism at all times. Use your fucking brain. So what if the game isn't 100% realistic? That's no reason to brush off all the hard work they put into the atmosphere, the tone, and the gameplay design just because of a double jump. Many games utilize this. So does Batman. So does Batman Begins. So what? It allows for more flexibility in movement and platforming.
No pun intended. I haven't mentioned the frankly bizarre dialogue.
I want to know about bears and rabbits. So, tell me about the rabbits.
Can you be more threatening?
Tell me about the rabbits.
Even Michael Caine in the behind the scenes videos takes a jab at the game's writer for not knowing the characters well enough.
This is a very funny script, but it was written by an American. An American's idea of why an Englishman speaks is there's a line, make haste, which is very Shakespearean. But the butler would have just said, hurry up, sir. That's it. Bears and rabbits, bizarre dialogue. You're so ignorant. Bears and rabbits refers to the drug from Ra's al Ghul's home. The drug is then distributed into stuffed bears and stuffed rabbits so they don't get caught. Again, pay the fuck attention and you would know. America and Englishman stuff. Dude, you do realize ethics is not the same as what you stated. That's a false equivalence because
He's talking about a writer not knowing English from a British Englishman. That's understandable. Not what you stated. You said the writer didn't know the character, and the people, they mentioned the fact that a writer didn't know how the British talk. That's not the same thing. That's a false equivalence. Nice try, dumbass.
I haven't mentioned how Rachel Dawes, Bruce Wayne's childhood friend from the movie, is only in this game to scream and need saving. Boy, if Anita Sarkeesian is mad at Arkham Knight, I hope she never plays this piece of shit.
Shut the fuck up. Fleshed out level design, a robust, realistic, and grounded combat system with multiple attack moves and mechanics. Excellent gameplay design with multiple vents and areas for Batman to traverse and utilize stealth to his biggest advantage. All this in the game. You say such horse shit, you better shut that shit up. That's enough out of you.
Are you dumb?
Even poor Katie Holmes finds it hard to describe her character because she's likely so embarrassed at how badly her character is represented in the game.
Work in the DA's office, and I follow Batman around.
Well, either that or Tom Cruise was just standing behind the camera pointing a shotgun towards her.
If there was, I would be there.
I didn't mention how one of the game's scriptwriters talks about how he thinks in his infinite wisdom that Arkham Asylum has never been done right in the comic books.
Arkham Asylum, for example. I don't think we ever quite managed to get it that right in the comic books.
Yeah, I'm sure Grant Morrison and any Batman fan who has a fucking clue about Batman would disagree. The Batman Begins game is what happens when people who neither care nor understand their source material are put in charge of adapting it. As much as the behind-the-scenes videos likes to propagate, they don't care about the game. Not really. Like, I'm sure some of the developers did, but to the people at the top, this is just a product with a deadline and projected profit margins. It's quite sad when you think about it, that Batman Begins is just one example in a long tradition of great movies being molested and spunked out onto the shelves of video game stores. Well, at least Heath Ledger will never have to roll in his grave. Or will he?
Support Tennings!
The developers didn't care. The developers were passionate about this shit, man. They focused on the sound design. They created a unique fear system that allows you to interact with the environment and influence AI behavior. And you're saying they didn't care? Want to try that again?
You are made of stupid.
So they put forth all that effort in the sound design, gameplay, and combat system and stealth mechanics, and you regulate all that hard work to a deadline, like with Battlefield 2042 or something. That game actually launched broken. What the fuck are you talking about? The game launched full and ready on disc. There is no comparison. Don't ever in your life make that comparison again. And if you try it, motherfucker, you better come home with the facts, because I'm using facts, not just your rude opinions, like some people. And I've actually beaten the game over 50, and unlike some people, I've actually beaten the game over 50 fucking times. That's how I actually know. Stealth mechanics, a robust combat system, didn't launch like Battlefield 2042. I think that's a hell of a lot better than the way games are launching now. So that's not right to put that on the game like that.
The Batman. Yeah, this is the only Dark Knight adaptation I could find. So,
why the fuck are you reading a children's book? You lose more credibility not even assessing the actual game itself. And skip.
Yeah, my name is Bruce Wayne. My home is Gotham City. I live in a big apartment. I own a boat and a plane. Right, so this is basically Bruce Wayne safe. My friend Lucius Fox helps me. He works for my company, but his most important job is inventing all of Batman's tools. How does this happen? Now I can track him down? The mask keeps me from breathing the knockout gas. Now is my chance to catch
Suicide with your hard-earned money.
Oh God, it's finally over. Fleshed out level design, dark, gritty, and realistic atmosphere and tone, with some haunting imagery and incredible lighting, colors, and realistic and grounded combat, with a unique combat system you won't find in any game. Unique stealth mechanics and a fleshed out fear system that allows you to interact with the environment, to change enemy behavior. This game was a relic and still is, a champion among PS2 titles, and one of the best licensed games in video game history. This is what I'm laying down, and this was Tarragon. Thank you for watching. Gosh, this dude is just wow. I gotta get out of here before I blow a casket, and thank you for watching.